What's up guys, TommieBennett here, and today I'm gonna teach you guys how to do butters. So, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so simply let's just define what a butter is. A butter is a move where you're able to manual your snowboard or bring the nose of the tail up in the sky and then do some really cool spin variations. There's so many different variations that you can do, and I'm gonna break down a couple simple ones, but more importantly, overall, I'm gonna break down the body movements so that we can be creative, so I can lead you to being super creative and doing what you want. So when you're doing the butter, it's really important that you are shifting your shoulders and your hip towards the end of your snowboard, and I'm gonna do it right now. So I'm gonna take my hips and I'm gonna start to sink back, and you're gonna notice that my belly button is stacked over my binding. Now if you wanna make this super high and intense, get your belly button to go further out towards the tail. The further you go towards your tail, the more it's gonna go up. Same thing applies as if I'm going over my nose. So that's the first thing. So now that you know that you need to shift your board around, you wanna find a nice place that you can just stop and become familiar with your board's flex pattern. Currently, I'm riding a camber board, which means it's more shaped like this. It's gonna be a little bit harder to butter. There are different types of boards that may make this a little bit harder or a little bit easier. Spend some time and get used to your board. Understand where those balance points are. Get used to how your board flexes. Become super familiar with it now before you start spinning. All right, guys, enough talking. We're gonna move into our next step. I just wanted to let you know that I have a couple spots remaining on my competitive snowboard team. Essentially, I work with athletes between the ages of 13 and 18. If you're a rider who wants to get better at snowboarding and you want to compete and try to take your snowboarding to the next level, shoot me a DM on Instagram to Premie SnowAcademy, and then we can start that conversation. There are a couple prerequisites, but I can send all that information to you. So if you're interested in working with me and the team, hit us up. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. Woo! All right, so the next step is actually taking our board down the fall line and becoming more familiar with those flex patterns and your balance, but obviously we're moving downhill. So what you'll see me do is that I'm gonna shift my weight back over the tail, let my nose come up, just for a split second, just kind of feel that. And then I'm gonna repeat that movement and try to hold that position a little bit longer. Come back to neutral, reset, slow down if you need to, and then you're gonna do it again and see how far you can really push your belly button over the tail of your snowboard. Once you're feeling like you're a rock star when it comes to doing that like tail press little butter thing, I want you to actually create some movement. So as you're leaning back, take your front foot and start moving it back and forth while your back foot moves in opposition, and start getting your board to move sideways. It's a fun exercise to test your balance, your body positions, and it's just a good time. So practice that, and then we're gonna keep going to adding a little bit of spins. All right, let's go. It's extremely important that you guys are very aware of your edges when it comes to doing butters. The number one thing is don't catch an edge. It sucks, it's not fun, trust me. Now, essentially what you wanna do is that your center of mass is leaning uphill. Now, if I'm on my toe side edge, I'm leaning uphill. Anytime I lean downhill, just like this, I'm gonna catch an edge, right? If I start leaning back, I'm gonna catch an edge. Obviously, in the opposite, if I'm facing downhill, I wanna make sure that I'm always leaning uphill. So while you're doing butters, you're constantly leaning uphill, so your board and your body are rotating, but you have, let's just say, between like a 10 and 30 degree angle leaning up the hill the whole time. Doesn't matter if you're on your tail, your nose, your heels, your toes, you're always leaning uphill. Don't forget that. Once you're feeling like a rock star, what I want you to do is do that tail press butter, but this time we're gonna add some movement in it, and we're gonna add a frontside 180, and it looks like this. Before I started the tail press, essentially I'm doing a small heel side turn, which is gonna help start creating some momentum. And then what you're gonna do is lift up your nose of your snowboard while shifting your weight back, and you're gonna let that turn help you start a 180. As you do that 180, take your back foot and actually push the tail of your board downhill while keeping your back foot up. Essentially, you're just trying to get yourself to do a 180 while sliding on your tail, which does become your nose. After that, what if we held that up and we kept our rotation going? Essentially, we're gonna be able to do that same movement, but this time we're gonna let our lead shoulder drive a full 360 while balancing on our tail. So if you need to practice the exercise of not catching an edge, you can simply do 360s or 720s flat ground without jumping, and just let your board flow and find that rhythm of spinning while not catching an edge. Again, make sure your weight is leaning up. After you feel like you know how to keep the flow and you're going, you're gonna take that same exercise, you're just gonna shift your weight back, lift up your nose, and get the board to go around. Now, sometimes you gotta be able to lift up your toes or push them down depending on where you are in the rotation. But the biggest thing is making sure that you're letting your eyes and your shoulders lead the direction of the spin, and then just be very fine-tuned with your ankles. Now, when it comes to doing a 720 or just like crazy more spins, more than a 360, get a nice bit of a wind up, throw the trick, and then just keep that going, and then you're actually using your hips and your feet to let that momentum continue. It's kind of fun. I know this is a beginner video, but I want to make this way more fun, and I want to be able to challenge you. So after you've nailed all the first steps, you can come back to this video and then watch the second part of this where we get a little bit more advanced. So I don't want to just leave you with how to do a tail press. Let's make you a good snowboarder. So let's keep going. All right, guys, so we can take butters almost anywhere. It's pretty incredible. But one of the best ways to be creative is to get a friend and go steal some of his tricks. So that's what I've done today. I got my buddy.
What up, guys? I'm Jonathan Buckhouse.
And today, Jonathan's gonna help us with this video and give us some super creative ways to do some butters. So what do you got for us, dog?
All right, guys, so when it comes to butters, make sure you dial in the basics, those nose presses, tail presses, because once you can really do the tail press, the nose press, you can then start like turning your boards a little sideways, do like a little bit of a sideways tail press or nose press. And then the best part about butters is you can start stacking different butters on top of each other. So you can do a tail press to a 180 to a nose press, or you can do like a side press to a tail press to a 180 out, called the FMJ butter. There's so many options with butters and you can get so creative, but it all comes down to you understanding the core principles of how to butter, just like Tommy was showing you earlier in this video.
So on that note, Jonathan, show us what you got, dog. Woo! My favorite part about that was how many different variations Jonathan was actually able to bring together. Now, here's a little secret. If you want to learn a lot of those crazy rail tricks out on like in the park, you can simplify them and practice them out here. You can work on your front boards, your board sides and pretzels. You can work on so many things out here, and it's kind of sick. And you saw Jonathan do a couple like board side pretzels, pretty sick, super sick. That's a nice little hack for you guys. Practice them out here before bringing them into the park, and then you don't have to get broke off all the time. You know, a little bit more of a progressive thought process. So. The ski doctor's here, and he just mentioned something so smart. Let's hear what he has to say. Woo!
One thing I noticed when like you're trying to do butters and stuff, watching these guys, is they're always looking for like the right terrain. If you're going down something too steep, it might not be the most ideal, and you'll catch that edge and fall way harder. So find a nice mellow area that's open and not too steep, and have fun with it.
Woo!
All right, guys, so that was the ski doctor. He actually has a mobile tuning van in Summit County. So if you want him to literally pull up at your house, knock on your door, grab your snowboard, and wax it for you, hit up my dude. His Instagram's right here, and all his stuff is gonna be in the description.
Let's get some of that footy.
Awesome, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm missing anything. Also, I just made some new merch, which I'm really hyped on. So if you guys are wanting to pick up any of these Killing It hoodies, they are down below. Also, I have some Killing It stickers, and I have an online snowboard course. So if you guys want to support the channel, hop down there, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and make sure you check out Jonathan and the Ski Doctor's stuff. All linked down below. And as always, we out.